Hello, hello, hello. Welcome, everybody. Welcome to the stream. See, Amir is here dealing with COVID. Uh, Thank you for the familiar faces for showing up. We haven't done this for a while, and hopefully, this kind of becomes a tradition where we do a Sunday stream just to recap most of what just happened in the market. So, first of all, welcome to the stream. Basically, the idea here is we were going to talk about what happened this week. Essentially, Jerome Powell crashing the economy, Russia planning to squeeze the balls of Germany, debt forgiveness, basically where the market is headed, where the Fed is headed, and mainly for you guys to voice your opinions, your questions. So the idea here for the stream is not about me, is more about you guys. So I want to kind of create an interactive experience because this is mainly for my close community. So this is not for like the general public of the tens of thousands of people who usually watch my videos. It's more for the, 500, 600 people who actually watch my videos every time, mostly members of the channel membership or the Patreon. So this is a way for me to interact with you. So I don't want to be on here just lecturing. I'd like to interact with you a little bit. So if you have any questions you want to ask, just put question in caps before your comment, and then I'll know it's a question for me. Otherwise, I'm just gonna let the chat run. We have Rich here, who's one of our moderators, and Greg, I think, is here, and some of our moderators are going to take care of you and make sure that the chat isn't spammy or doesn't have any bullshit in it. So I trust my moderators to do a great job. And so the first question is from Amit. I'll let you be the honor. So the first question, Amit, explain the 50K Palantir buy. It was just too low. I haven't bought since pretty much the awful, horrendous call that we saw, and I said I'm going to hold off. But at $8, it was just too tempting for me to buy it. I can't see it dropping any further in the short term, so I pulled the trigger. I know I said I wouldn't buy anymore until I see some more from the management, but at $8, I just decided to just pull the trigger. So that's the short answer. That's the simple answer. It might turn out to be a huge mistake, or it might to be a huge win. I don't know. Um, as a long-term investor, I mean, as you know, because we share kind of the same strategy here, it doesn't really matter. It's just a way for me to upgrade my dollar cost average a little bit downwards because I still have faith for the company. People tend to box me with Sasha because Sasha did sell his stocks. We were both very critical of the company. A lot of people were not sure if I'm staying, if I'm selling. So I was very clear I'm not selling. I'm actually adding to my position, but it doesn't mean I'm not going to call out Palantir for bullshit. And they definitely deserve a call out after the last call because the numbers were not great. The transparency was awful. The call was absolutely horrible. So I expect to see better results. But that's kind of the short answer. Brian, thank you for the super chat. Uh, Brian is saying Jerome wants AMC, APE, and GME to squeeze and trigger margin calls to get the market to move on. Brian, I doubt it if Jerome Powell gives a fuck about the AMC or GME or none of these things. He has bigger fish to fry. You have to understand that Jerome Powell right now has his balls in the very kind of inquisitionary Spanish kind of squeeze. Um, he basically Jerome Powell got a little bit. How should I? He got hustled, and I'll explain. So most Fed chairs, including the ones we had in 2000, including Ben Bernanke in 2008, there was never a Fed chair with more at stake since the Paul Volcker days than Jerome Powell. So I know that there were Fed chairs that went through some crises, including the Great Recession in 2008, and they made important decisions. But I argue that since the early 1980s, this is the first time that the Fed chair is playing probably one of the most pivotal role in getting out of this inflationary cycle. So Powell involuntarily got to be the next Paul Volcker, and he's clearly not comfortable with his job. He's clearly not. That's not his wheelhouse. He's more kind of mm, if you compare Jerome Powell, for those of you who follow sports, if you compare Jerome Powell to a quarterback, He's kind of more of a game manager. So he wants to rinky dink you. He wants to manage the game. He's not a Aaron Rodgers. He's not a Tom Brady. He's not a Steve Montana or not even the Steve Young. You know what I mean? So and all of a sudden he's playing in the Super Bowl and he has to make a whole bunch of third and longs to get us out of this shitstorm. So this is kind of putting a game manager in a situation where he has to basically be Tom Brady. I'm not very optimistic for him. And that's why I don't think he really gives a fuck about AMC or GME, or he has such bigger fish to fry. His entire legacy is on the line, and it's not looking good right now. I'm gonna scroll down just to highlight some of my regulars. Hey Dan, one of my Patreon members, welcome to the stream. If I see some familiar faces, I'm gonna shout you out. Um, if I didn't shout you out, it's because I haven't seen you. It doesn't mean I don't appreciate you. Kelly is here. Um, Kelly, that's a hypothetical question, and also you didn't put question, so I'm not gonna answer that. Farzad, my friend, is here. He actually uses the proper question. So Farzad, a fellow creator on YouTube, check him out, is saying, "Do you think CARP is necessarily a piece for Palantir's long-term prospects?" It's a great question, Farzad, and it's a terrific question, one that doesn't get asked a lot. In fact, I made a whole video about it, basically saying, "Hey, is CARP maybe CARP is the problem?" And here are my thoughts. If you would have asked me this question, if CARP is the problem, about 3 months ago, I would have categorically told you absolutely not. Look at the numbers, look at the financials. It's just, yes, he's not a good communicator. He's arrogant. He has all these issues, but the numbers are just insanely good. Look at the growth, net retention. Look at the deal flow. Look at the relationships. Just great numbers. Now, this quarter wasn't the end of Palantir, obviously, like some of my clickbait suggests, but the numbers are starting to regress a little bit. I'm not saying that the numbers are horrible, but I start to see a slowdown in the quality of numbers improvement. And once I see that happen, first that I'll give you an example. Allen Iverson, the basketball player, right? When Allen Iverson was a basketball player, very outgoing person, very problematic. He wouldn't go to practices. He would basically he would do whatever he want. But as long as he was the league's MVP, the most valuable player, everybody put up with his insanity, right? The moment you become not as good at your job, nobody's going to put up with your shit. So as long as Carp was delivering, people put up with this arrogance and nonsense. Now, the moment that things are not going so well, is basically people saying, "Well, Mr. Carp, you basically told the entire West Coast to fuck off. You said you're going to do it better than Silicon Valley, and you moved out to Colorado, and you basically said, 'Hey, we know how to do this. You guys are idiots.' But your numbers are consistently underperforming the expectations. So you can't have it both ways. So you cannot be the I do whatever I want, I play my game, blah blah blah, and then not deliver on the court. And right now he's not delivering on the court. So my answer would be I'll wait another quarter before I give you um, a, a, a definitive answer on this, Farzad. Thank you for asking. Joao is asking. I'm getting through the questions, guys. So I'm sorry if the pace is a little bit slower, but I'm trying to give everybody their time with the questions. So if you ask the question, I'm scrolling on my feed. So even if the chat is running on your end, I can see every single question. So on my end, it's slower. So don't worry, I'll get to you. I'm just scrolling by. So I'm looking for the question in caps. Joao is asking, might be too macro, but how do you see future value of euro, US dollars? Best regards from Portugal. It's a lot macro, Joao, and I'm gonna be honest with you, I don't fucking know. It depends a lot on what happens in the energy market, and right now it's an absolute mess. Global energy markets are gonna dictate everything, and it will depend mostly on what Putin will decide to do with Europe, because right now Putin is already kind of throttling Europe. Nord Stream, I don't know if you guys know this, is working at about 20% capacity. So he's already squeezing the balls of Germany as we speak. But come winter, where it really hurts, I think the squeeze is going to be harder. And once Europe goes through this energy crisis in the winter, which I feel would be absolutely destructive, the whole relationship between euro dollar is going to be an absolute powder cake. So I'm not even going to pretend to answer that. And who fucking knows? Um, Jan in Bankrupt is saying, question, why is Trevor Milton such a great founder? Yeah, he just got it, bro. He out Elon. For those of you who follow Nikola long term, he out Elon. Um, okay, another question from Isaac. Isaac Perrault. I hope I'm pronouncing your name correctly, right? So he's saying, what do you think about energy prices at the end of the year? I see natural gas going crazy. Yes. So see my previous answer, Isaac. I just answered that. I don't know. It all depends on, well, natural gas will depend on what Russia will do with their Nord Stream. And if Russia decides to absolutely, it already weaponizes Nord Stream by squeezing Germany, and Germany actually is already hitting the mark on their storage on what they need in October. They already have. So Germany is trying to store as many as they can. Russia is just providing 20% of the capacity. So there's a war already going on that front. If Russia decides to go full throttle and absolutely cock block Germany and cut off Nord Stream, I think natural gas prices is going to go through the roof. But who knows? The war might be also over tomorrow. I mean, you're absolutely. Hold on a second. Did anybody of my moderators blocked Gabe because he just texted me that he can't even put a comment or anything in the chat? Gabe, I don't know why. Let me check for a second. So one of my moderators is apparently blocked in my own stream, which is something you never want to have. So give me just a second to try and figure this out. One moment. Gabe, I'm going to stop everything to try and find out why this is happening. Although I honestly don't know. This is really weird. Let me see. Gabe, I don't know. You don't appear on my block list at all whatsoever. Um, this is so weird. Yo, Gabe, can you text me privately your YouTube username so I can match it with my block list? And I'll try to go through my block list and see if anybody accidentally blocked you from the moderators. Sorry for that, buddy. Going forward, shout out to the 900 people in the stream right now. Gabe, just text me the username. Team Saunders is saying, how much will the debt forgiveness boost inflation? Look, it's a huge question. We have Ross Gerber on TV saying, well, this is completely non-inflationary. And I would say that maybe it's not as inflationary as giving away stimulus checks. I agree to that point, but to go all out like Ross did and say, well, this is completely not inflationary, I don't think so. I don't agree with him. And let me tell you why. What happens when you forgive a debt? Okay, right now you have a student loan. All of a sudden you have $10,000 less of the student loan. Obviously, it's not like you just got $10,000 in free cash flow because it's not like you're repaying this $10,000 tomorrow. It's principal, you're paying interest, you're paying little payments, but your monthly payment is either reduced, or I don't know how they do it, or maybe the lump sum at the end is reduced. Whatever happens with these student loans, at least it would seem to me plausible that the monthly payment on the loan, if such, will be reduced by a certain incremental amount by reducing the debt. So it is slightly inflationary. It's definitely not as much as giving somebody $10,000, but it's not completely not inflationary like some people want to tell you. When you're giving away debt forgiveness, which is essentially cash, you can't say it's not inflationary. It just doesn't work like that. Um, hey, I see my friend Adam Bergman here saying hello. Adam, thank you for the super chat. I'm going to highlight it on the screen once I get to it because I'm scrolling through the questions earlier, but I'll get to it in a second. Thank you, my friend. I appreciate the super chat a lot. Um, hello from Poland. Yay. Hello, Jerzy. Jerzy, is that your name, Jerzy, correct? Um, JJE is asking, why Walmart testing Nikola fuel cell EV? I'm not familiar with Nikola having a fuel cell EV whatsoever. To the best of my understanding, what Nikola has, after losing Trevor Milton to what seems to be prison and Mark Russell to what seems to be early retirement, which are the two honchos that led Nikola to where it's at right now, which is pretty much nowhere. Nikola basically has Gabe, you're back. I can see you. I just saw your super chat on the screen, so I can definitely see you. So hold on a second. I got your super chat. Yeah, I'll show it in a second on the screen. You're back in. So whatever you did, you just released yourself from the jail. Um, Let me just moderate you so you become one of the moderators for the stream. Hold on a second. I'm sorry for this, guys. I just have to do this for Gabe because he's one of my moderators, and I absolutely want him to have mod rights on this thing. So I apologize for the delay. 1 second. GS Strategies LLC. I got you. Okay, Gabe, I just turned you into moderator, so you cannot be blocked anymore. It must have been a glitch. So, okay, so back to Nikola. And I'll get to the super chat. I'm going to get to every single one of them. So, to my understanding, what Nikola has is two things. Number one, they paid a company from Germany called Bosch to build a prototype of a fuel cell truck. This prototype cost them about $45 million to build. This prototype, to my understanding, has no proprietary technology from Nikola. It's a fuel cell by Bosch. It's a design by Bosch. It's a build by Bosch. It has absolutely nothing in it that's Nikola, except for the fact that Nikola paid for that. Now they've been parading it around ever since the Trevor Milton days, but it's basically just a $45 million prototype. Now, what they do have, which actually can sell and make money, is an absolutely existing truck from Europe by a company called Iveco or Iveco, I think. I know you're from America. You guys don't know this brand, but it's a huge brand in Europe and massive brand in Europe. And they have a daily delivery truck, which is very popular in Europe, called the S Way. I know the name sounds weird to Americans, but it asks the letter S way, not ass anal. You know what I mean? And basically, what they did is they took this very popular vehicle by Iveco, partnered with Iveco, and they're just slapping a Nikola logo on top of it and a battery, and they're going to sell it. And they call it the Nikola Tray. The Nikola Tray, which is the track that Sandy Monroe absolutely loved, he loved it because it's an Iveco track that has years and years of popularity. It's basically an Iveco S Way with the battery and the Nikola logo. That might sell, but to build a whole business around that sounds to me a little bit ridiculous. Shout out to the 1,000 people in the chat right now. Thank you all for coming here. Hope that answers your question, JJ. Let me know below if it does or doesn't. I'm gonna try to get through the questions here as fast as I can. Question: how do you think the EU will do an Orbho? Orbho? What the fuck is Orbho? This will, in fact, sorry, IPO. Can you repeat the question? I just don't understand the text. Shout out to 1,000 people already, Amit. Yeah, Hoovy. Hey, welcome back to the channel. I haven't seen you in months, and you've been always on my videos, every single video. Welcome back. Yeah, Hoovy is here. Not always nice. He sometimes has harsh things to say, but I appreciate his criticism. So he's kind of a classic uh, hater lover kind of relationship. But I appreciate you back. What do you think of Ginkgo Bioworks? Absolutely no opinion, and I don't know nothing about it. UV. Sorry. Hey Ryan, what's up? Hey Andre, what's up? One of my regulars here from my community. Tom's one buy is my whole year of accumulating. Hey, it's one thing. I have my rules for life, Andre, right here, and I write them down every day and just kind of elaborating. This is just random. I just picked it up just to show you. Uh, you see what it says here? It will never stop. And then it says comparing to others gets worse. It's a rule I wrote to remember to myself. Basically, if you keep comparing yourself to others, it will never stop. So Elon Musk probably bought a fucking $1 billion house, or he probably didn't, but I mean, like a McLaren F1 or whatever. And Jeff Bezos is on some yacht. It's always this endless comparisons that you will never like, bro. Just focus on yourself, and it doesn't really matter. Comparing yourself to others is it's a very pointless thing to do. Compete with yourself. Everybody else is just, they're doing their thing. Different levels in life, different places in life. So this is just something I do for myself. Every day I write these rules. If you want, comment below. If you want, I can share with you these rules in the video on my second channel. So this is my kind of life rules. I write them down every day so I remember, so I don't forget like how to keep my eyes on the ball. Um. Okay. Next. Has Tom ever disclosed the size of his portfolio? Ooh, wouldn't you like to know, Kelly? I'm just kidding. I know. I don't think I ever have, Kelly. One of my regulars, Fat Bucker, is here. Every time I say his name, it feels wrong. Although there's nothing wrong with Fat Bucker, but it always feels horrible to say the name. It's a beautiful troll. Uh, yeah. Okay. Somebody named AA says he needs his vodka, which is kind of ironic. Um, Malevo Suave says, question, do you see a continuation of the downtrend in the upcoming months? We're going to talk about that in a second. It depends on it's let me explain. Everything that happens in the next 3 to 6 months is absolutely dependent on what the Fed will do. The Fed will determine how good or bad the markets would look. So my answer to you is very, very simple. If the Fed keeps the pressure on, the markets are not going to recover. If the Fed eases up for whatever reason and they pull back on this tightening cycle, then the markets will recover. I personally made a whole video saying why there's a big risk the Fed will cave under the political pressure and might ease up too early and allow the market to run a little bit before reality sets in. Um, Question from Dama X. Question: do you think we currently see the end of globalization? We're definitely seeing it. Look, globalization cycles are not nothing new. They happen in waves, uh, and usually, like if you go back in history, those of you who are interested in history. And by the way, shout out to Christoph. Yay, Team Nash. Let's go, Team Nash. If you go back through history, you see that globalization gets up and down, and after conflicts, globalization basically tames, and then it builds up again, and it comes in cycles. I think we're definitely deglobalizing a little bit because people are saying, "Well, we want energy independence, we want manufacturing independence." Look at what happened with COVID. Look at whatever. Like, bro, we had a freaking ship. We had one ship called the Ever Given. Remember that? A ship called the Ever Given. One ship that was stuck in the Suez Canal that absolutely paralyzed global fucking trade. One ship stuck in the canal paralyzed global trade. A lot of the inflationary pressures that we've seen last year is just purely because of that little boat. So if that's just one thing. Ukraine, Russia, all of a sudden, the entire Arab world, which basically uses Ukraine as this sole provider of wheat, is saying, "Oh, what? This is not like all of these events, COVID, Ever Given, the war in Ukraine, kind of push back globalization." People saying, "Whoa, wait, 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 we don't want to be 100% globalized." I know, so there's definitely a pushback against globalization a little bit right now, for sure. A question: is student debt forgiveness going to be a disaster in this market? No, Cody. It's just a small debt reduction. Uh, Luckily, they haven't had the balls to pull the trigger on what radically people wanted, because the radical left wanted to absolutely annihilate this debt. They did a little taste just to get some, to get some clout for the midterms. It's just too small of an amount to make any sort of ripple, good or bad. I mean, it's not going to save anybody from student debt. If you have a massive student debt, the $10,000 doesn't really change anything. But also, I don't see this as a huge kind of market collapsing event whatsoever. Ben Bernanke in the 2008 crisis, probably worse than what's going on right now. I talked about this. I think Ben Bernanke had a tough time, not as tough as Jerome Powell, because the 2008 crisis was caused, if you guys remember, those of you who are old heads in the chat, 2008 Great Recession was caused by the subprime mortgage repackaging. So, for those of you who don't know the story, basically, a lot of financial institutions pushed towards very loose policy in approving loans for mortgages, basically. Then they took these high risk loans, repackaged them as low risk, and resold them, made derivative of them. And then when the entire market found out, oh shit, these are fucking risky loans, the whole fucking thing caved in. The whole real estate market absolutely got annihilated. People were buying up homes in Detroit for $25 per home. Um, and that so Bernanke didn't have as much of a responsibility in the 2008 cycle, although he had a lot of work and he had a lot of pressures. This is purely monetary policy. So this crisis is caused by monetary policies and will be solved by monetary policy. It's all on Jerome Powell. So ever since Volcker, there were no such situations, and that was my point. Uh, okay, uh, going through the questions. Question: why Zim minus 12 on Friday when dividend X date is tomorrow? The dividend X day has already passed, Stable. I think the dividend X date was August 26th, which was the day that Zim dropped. So if you held the shares on Friday morning, even in pre-market, I believe that means you're getting the dividend. Okay. Shout out to the 1,200 people in the chat. Uh, so he's Jimmy G. Some 49er fans or Patriot fans? I can't tell. Uh, yeah, I agree with Rich. Definitely. Rich, I think it showed how the entire Western world is not really manufacturing anything. How the entire West is basically dependent on China and whatnot to manufacture pretty much everything. Hey, Comic Mike, thank you for the compliment. I really appreciate it. Uh, okay. Uh, like the live chat. Thank you, Raul. I appreciate it. By the way, if you're here and you haven't yet, you might as well smash the like button. I never asked it. I thought I'd ask it just for today, just to see what it feels like. Underwhelming. uh, okay. Okay. Kelly is apologizing for not putting question before the question, but it's okay. I forgive you, Kelly. I listened to your latest podcast with Amit on Idea. By the way, there's 1,200 people here, unless you haven't downloaded Odia, you're missing out on one of the coolest podcasts. Kelly and Amit are doing a podcast together to talk about things I can't say here on YouTube, but it's pretty interesting. I mean, you should check it out. It's a good podcast. Question from King of Dreams: uh, will the S&P 500 get cut in half by next year? You mean next year in 2023? I don't know exactly where it's going to be, but I think 2023 is going to be a very rough year for the stock market, and I'm not optimistic about next year is going to be very painful. Don't know exactly if it's half or whatever. It's a good question. Simeon is saying Simeon didn't put question. Just because you're one of my community managers, I'm going to highlight this question. But if it was anybody else, I wouldn't. So Simeon and Greg are my Discord managers. By the way, we have a terrific Discord community. If you guys haven't joined yet, might consider joining. There's no links here. You can find it in any other video. So he's saying, so we will have Volcker 2.0 in December, January. That's the huge question, Simeon. So the question is, does Jerome Powell have the balls to put himself in the same eye of the storm that Volcker did in 1980 or in the 80s? Because you have to understand what Volcker did. Volcker came in and he didn't do like before Volcker, they were doing these rinky dink 0.5, 0.75 like they're doing now increases. Volcker came in and said, motherfuckers, this is not going to work. Rinky dink, 0.5%. No, 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 no. 20% right away. Boom. Put down the hammer. And he killed inflation, but he sent America into a 4-year freaking recession. At the time, I assure you, Paul Volcker was not a popular person in the United States of America. Although history remembers him kindly as the savior, in real time, I don't think Paul Volcker was popular. So the question is, can Jerome Powell withstand the political pressure to actually do it? And also, Paul Volcker didn't have $30 trillion of national debt, which 20% basically becomes unpayable. So that's a whole different topic. I made a whole video explaining why the national debt is basically preventing John Powell for going full Paul Volcker here. Hey, Keone, what's up, buddy? Keone, I'm supposed to get the coffee tomorrow. Thank God. I'll let you know. Okay. Does carp hinder growth? Maybe. I don't know, Rich. We'll have to see. Um, hey, Tom, if you to day trade for the rest of the week, I don't day trade. I think day trading is an absolute bullshit rain dance, and I think it should not be done by retail investors. The only people who can effectively somehow day trade are big institutionals with access to information before you and massive resources. Retail investors should never day trade. It's like coming into a machine gun fight with a stick. Yeah, I'm not day trading at all. Not even hypothetically. Sorry, buddy. I appreciate the question though, Sam. Uh, Going forward with the question. Hey, Greg, one of my moderators and community managers here. Hey, Greg, what's up, buddy? Um, um, Question: Why is Trevor Milton rebuying Nikola? What Trevor Milton does, JJ, is beyond me. I mean, this guy is just, I can't pretend to even understand what Trevor Milton is doing or thinking. Um, yeah. Okay, next question. I'm looking for the questions. Okay. Harvey Mushman is saying, I love that name. Would you short the DAX due to the energy crisis in Germany? So Harvey, that's the one thing I want to explain. Again, as much as I was harsh about day trading, shorting is even worse. So if you mean buying puts or basically um, like using options to bet against the market, maybe, but I'm not ever shorting or thinking about shorting stocks or indices for the one reason because shorting a stock or an index uh, exposes your penis to a massive problem because what happens that it might there's no cap on the amount of loss you can generate in the short position. So unlike in a long position, your maximum loss is your investment, right? In the short position, it can be entirely unlimited, insane, like l- m- bankruptcy level money. So I'm not going to explain here why exactly because it's just too long for this live stream. But I don't short, and I don't recommend any retail investor ever short anything. It's a game that's only saved for institutional investors and professional money managers. And if you ask Patrick Boyle, who actually ran a hedge fund, he will tell you that statistics show that shorting is a very inefficient way to make money in the stock market. Um, okay, save us, Tom Nash, from what? If you need me to save you, you have bigger problems. I'm just kidding. uh, hey, what's up, buddy? Um, What about Yuri? What do you mean? From Tip Ranks? I mean, I think he's okay. Uh, I think we're supposed to chat. Hopefully next week. Mm, 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 mm. Florian is saying, finally got to catch one of the live streams. How you been, Tom? I've been good. Everybody's great. Thank you for asking. Francisco is asking a very important question. VOO, which is the S&P 500 versus VTI. Okay, so if you ask Strongman Personal Finance, he'll tell you that he's all in on VT. I've been on record saying that 40% of my portfolio is an S&P 500 for one reason only. I do not like non-US markets. I just don't. And the reason is because the biggest, baddest, swinging banana in the global marketplace is the United States of America. It's the biggest economy. It's the most efficient stock market. It has the most amount of regulation, rule of law, and the absolute beast of a market to be invested in. It's a cheat code. I would never, ever bet against the US market by adding international markets to my portfolio. Now, I'm not saying the US is perfect. I'm not saying they don't have any problems. And I'm not saying in any given year some sort of a market, can outperform. But just generally saying the S&P 500 is the US economy and long term you cannot do better than the US economy. And anybody who tried to bet against the US economy long term just lost. It's pretty much like betting against Elon. So that's my answer. Um, One of my members, Tom, is here. Hey, Tom, buddy, what's up? I know it's pretty late over there, right? I think you're in the Far East. Ooh, I believe that Carp should find a CEO with good record for growing companies. That would not be a bad idea if he steps towards more kind of an executive chairman position. Maybe, given what we saw in the last call. Whew, man, I don't know. Yeah, maybe. Tom, it's not out of the realm of possibility. Uh, Amit is saying this stream is better than literally everything on Netflix, and 800 people agree. Well, it's already 1,350 people do agree, but thank you, Amit. I appreciate it. Although I gotta be honest with you, you're not really objective because number one, you're sick. You've been watching Netflix the whole week. You pretty much went through the entire programming, and you're kind of my friend. So, but I appreciate the compliment. Thank you, sir. I appreciate it. Uh, uh, he may be a good coder. Yeah, talking about Carp. Yeah, we'll see. I want to see another quarter, Tom, before we decide that. Uh, Question from Akash Podel. Question: with dilution and bad earnings, is Palantir valued at the right price? Well, here's the thing, Akash. Nobody knows. It's nobody has a crystal ball. Nobody really knows. Everybody makes mistakes, so we don't know. I personally think that it is, but there are a lot of smart people, like Sasha, for example, Sasha Yanchin, who think that they're not. There's there's plenty of people who advocate against purchasing Palantir. There's plenty of people who like it. It's a very subjective valuation because in any valuation you're applying your own kind of set of values and what matters to you. So I don't think they had bad earnings, Akash. I think they had bad transparency and a slowdown in growth and absolutely horrendous communication skills. I don't think they had bad earnings though, as far as the last quarter. Um, what would be a deal breaker must sell Palantir? Well, that has to be, it's tough to say at this point, but and the short answer is the main plan of Palantir right now is use the government side to fund the growth of the commercial side, and then grow the commercial side until they actually get some serious market share in enterprise software in North America, which is the big market everybody wants to be in. Europe isn't that big as far as where the money you can make. They're up against some serious players. If Microsoft or even Snowflake or whoever comes out and swoops the market underneath them, and I see that the marketing, the business development, and the growth in the commercial side is dying, which is not right now. They're still growing nicely on the U.S. side because on the U.S. they're growing like at triple digits. Then that will be definitely where I say, well, this is a deal breaker for me. I want to keep seeing them grow on the commercial side in the U.S. in crazy numbers. So that's kind of my focus. Uh, Gabe, we got you back on the screen, and now you're a moderator. Just by your, I'm slow on the chat because I'm trying to get through the questions, so I apologize in advance. Okay, next, Florian with a question here. If we head into a disinflationary environment due to more hawkish Fed outlook, do you see safe government bonds as a potential hedge if one was feeling overly exposed in equities? I don't do bonds. Bonds is usually, like, traditionally speaking, bonds is where you want to be at when you are older and you're trying to manage risk and just mitigate inflation and whatnot. So I'm not a huge bonds guy, so I can't tell you. I don't use bonds as a hedge. Um, my simple layman answer as a non-bonds guy is very simple. It's math. Bonds will give you what? Let's say 2%, right? So unless inflation is sub 2%, it's a losing deal. So you make your calculation. If inflation is 8% and the bond gives you 2%, it's a losing deal. My 2 cents. Although, not financial advice, doing research, whatnot, right? Um, BB is asking how far we will drop before we hit the floor. That's a question for my grandpa, BB. I don't know. Seriously speaking, I don't know. I don't know. I absolutely don't know. Uh, Jose Samut is saying, question: can the euro ever recover if fiscal policy and monetary policy never converge? It's a very fluid situation. I don't know. There's Europe right now is basically reaping the benefits of what. In fact, look, the European problem started with guys like Gerhard Schroeder. If you go back and those of you from Germany, they know exactly what I'm talking about. Those of you who are not from Germany have no idea what I'm talking about. So everything started with the euro problem goes all the way back to 2000 to Gerhard Schroeder. So Gerhard Schroeder was the previous guy in charge before Angela Merkel, and Gerhard Schroeder is the guy who sold out Germany. By the way, so you guys understand this. Schroeder is the guy who actually, and this is German. If there's Germans in the chat, correct me or confirm me. Okay. So Schroeder actually sold out Germany, and he advocated for the whole fucking Nord Stream. Let's go for Russia, blah blah blah. People seem to think that Angela Merkel is responsible for that, but that's actually she continued the sinister approach by Schroeder. The only difference is that Angela Merkel was just idiot. Gerhard Schroeder was actually evil because this guy advocated for Nord Stream and the lack of independence, Germany energy independence. You know what Gerhard Schroeder's job right now? He's on the board of directors of Nord Stream. Yeah, yeah, that's true. So the German chancellor that advocated for Germany to ruin its independence and go with Nord Stream is now on the board of directors of Nord Stream, getting paid by Putin. So there's the story for you. German friends, can you confirm or just say I'm wrong? But I'd love to see your feedback on that. Um, Question: I have to liquidate some stocks to pay some expenses for upcoming wedding in 3 weeks' time. Do you think there will be a bit of recovery this week after the big drop? I don't know. I don't try to time this XV7. We might see even more pain this week or next week. We might see a huge bounce. I just don't know. It depends on what the Fed will say, what Powell will say, what if he sends another one of his colleagues to say anything more dovish. I absolutely don't know. Connor's saying, and by the way, congratulations on the wedding. Congrats. Connor saying, is it inevitable that Jay Powell follows Paul Volcker's strategy to end inflation but causes a deep recession as Volcker did? The only difference is both of them will have to handle a lot of political pressures. But you have to understand one thing, Connor. Go back and watch my video. Paul Volcker did not have to deal with $30 trillion of national debt. The US is now at 1.5 times more debt than GDP. It means that for every 1% J Powell raises interest, the US has to pay another $300 billion per year of interest expenses. Okay? Now the US makes 4 trillion every year from taxes. That's the income. So if you're running a budget, 4 trillion is your income. And now imagine I just raised interest, let's say to 10%. 3 trillion goes to interest. Do you think that can happen? What about education, infrastructure, healthcare, blah blah blah? So basically, the U.S. is in this wedge right now that it wasn't when Paul Volcker was in charge. It cannot physically afford to raise interest too high, and that's the main problem. Watch my video. I talked about this. It's a huge problem. Um, what happens if Putin cuts supply to EU? Well, the EU is fucked. I mean, there's no two ways about it, and he knows it. That's why everybody's saying he's waiting for the winter to squeeze Germany. And next question. What do you think of China's low rate of inflation, 2.7? Everything, look, no offense to China, Matt, but any number coming out of China, GDP growth, inflation is absolutely bogus. It's a government that's engaged in institutional theft of IP and faking numbers. So with all due respect to China, I mean, it's probably fake as fuck. um, how resistant Palantir to recession? I don't think it's resistant to recession. When recession hits, everybody will get wet, including Palantir. It doesn't have any recessionary protection. Nothing has. Real estate will suffer. Job market will suffer. Every single company will suffer. Uh, Ariel is asking, what's your overall outlook about the stock market for the rest of the year? So, Ariel, the only thing here that matters is what the Fed will do. So, your question is a very good question, and my answer is it will depend solely on what Jerome Powell decides to do. If Jerome Powell stays on course and say, well, I'm going to go with this no matter what, and I'm going to raise interest rates despite political pressures to slow down because in November we have the midterms, and if Biden's administration doesn't allow a proper midterm to go through, they become a lame duck. If the Republicans take the midterms, they're pretty much screwed. So it depends on how much Powell can withstand political pressure to ease up before the midterms. But if Powell gets into this pressure cooker and he gets pressured by Biden and his administration to slow down the tightening just after November, then the rest of the year is going to be sweet. So it all depends on how Biden and Powell will interact and how much pressure he can absorb. Um, Never block Gabe, exactly. Um, okay. Oh, I'm late on the chat. I'm so sorry. Oh, I'll try to speed up the question. I try to speed up the question. the question rate. Um, hey Arnon, welcome to the chat. One of my community members on Discord and Patreon. Um, I'm going through the. Thank you for the super chat, Adam. I'm just now getting to it. So if you're still here, thank you for the $5. I appreciate it. Scrolling through comments. Scrolling through comments. Rich is asking a question. Wouldn't it have been better to allow people to default in debt and force it? Let the greedy universities take the pain. It's the universities are it's government backed, so there's not going to be any universities paying rich. The it's collateralized and secured by the government, so the universities still get their money. That's the whole cheat code. Um, would you buy Nikola for the hydrogen play? I think hydrogen is very interesting. Nikola is a fake company, so I would never buy Nikola. Um, they have no IP, no innovation, no R&D. It's a marketing company with really bad history. So no. Uh, yeah, Crispy, you're right. They aren't paying anyway. They aren't paying for a long time. This has been on ice for a while. That's why I said it's not completely inflationary, but at the end of the day, it does. This is the last time they do the moratorium, so they start paying again soon. So it reduces the payment, so it kind of is a little bit inflationary, but not like disastrous. Okay, next. I'm going through the questions as fast as I can. Uh, Real estate market question. What do I think about the real estate market? I think it's going to pull back, but I don't think it's going to crash. Anybody who's warning about a massive real estate 2008 level crash, I think it's over exaggerating. I don't think it happens. Um, okay, so this is from Gabe. Gabe, your super chat is very clear. So this is Gabe's opinion, and he paid $10 to share this with you. So you know, go to his channel and make sure you like his channel. Gabe is saying SPY support at 390. SPY will surpass 450 before 2022 is over. So yeah, that's Gabe's position. So he's saying that we're close to bottom, and then we're going to be at 4,500 on the S&P 500 by the end of the year. So that's Gabe's opinion. Um, good evening for Sweden. Good evening. Hey, what's up? Tom, are you not in the Far East anymore? You're back in Canada? I didn't know that. Sorry. Привет из Барселоны, бля, пиздец. Hey, Jordi, what's up, buddy? Привет из Барселоны. Question. We have Papa Carp, so should we name you Papa Tom? If you call me Papa Tom, I'm going to come over there and slap you up. I'm just kidding. Nikola has a brand, but that's pretty much it, Eric. They have nothing proprietary whatsoever. Well, happy that you switched, Gabe. Welcome to the chat. At least it's working now. Tom Nash never picked the right stock. That's kind of true. I can't lie. Yeah, that is true. Okay. What else? What do you expect on Monday stock market? I don't look at short-term market performance. Not a pro gamer, so I absolutely don't know. So Stonk Tycoon is saying, Tom, yes, the 2021 prototype is Iveco and Bosch. Yeah, that's what I said. I remember when I was deep diving into Nikola, I was like, what the fuck is this? Because they were parading around like fuel cell truck. I was like, this is crazy. Did they build this? And then I dove deep into this. It's like a $50 million fucking bill to Bosch. And there's nothing in it that's freaking Nikola. Come on, man. Who would put money in Nikola? Yo, some people bought Nikola at $80 per share, believe it or not. Rachel is saying, I watched Gabe on the 1.5 hours Chris Patel video yesterday. Really excited to hear about his channel and your Patreon, Tom. Yeah, it's going to be epic. We're doing a new project with Gabe. A day or two away, literally a day or two away from launching this. It's going to be epic. And those who know. Those who are in the know are in the know. Okay, more questions. I'm sorry if I missed your questions. I'm trying to go through the questions as fast as I can. Question: Palantir headed to $5? I don't think so personally. Practical investing, but who knows? Maybe. I don't think so personally, but who knows? Okay. I'm not a guru of finance, Yehuvi, and if I'm your guru of finance, then you're in trouble. uh, oh, I'm so late on the chat. You mean these, Amit? Yeah, I keep them. I write them down every morning, so I remember like what to focus on. So I'm not being like an idiot. Your only competition is you. I agree with Kelly 100%. Uh, okay, I'll do a video on my second channel with the rules for sure. Okay, scrolling down, scrolling down, scrolling down. Wait, none of the moderators blocked this little bot that tried to do all the stuff on my channel. Okay, whatever. Wait, we have a super chat from Rodney. Rodney, I'm trying to locate your super chat. 1 second, buddy. The super chats are kind of wonky on my end. Oh, hold on a second. I'm slow with the super chats. Gabe has another super chat saying, if you are bullish on Palantir now is the time to buy shares or get paid premium by selling 750 strike price puts that expire 2023. Don't let fear take control of your thesis. Market going up. Okay, so what Gabe is saying, guys, here is very interesting. And this is kind of the system that he's alluding to. I don't want to give too much of it away, but Gabe has a very interesting system on how to invest in stocks you like and get paid to buy the shares you want at the price you want. I'm not going to say more about this, but this is going to be the essence of what he wants to show to the community on my Discord and Patreon. So more about that as we actually launch this program. I'm looking for another super chat from Rodney. Rodney, if you're still here, I apologize, buddy. I've seen the super chat come in, but I haven't been able to locate it yet. Hold on, let me scroll as fast. I'm so late on the comments. Uh, Wait, there's more. Another super chat that I missed. Elvino Trading is saying, "Are you familiar with the T plus 90 theory of ape, and what's your view on it?" I think that if you're looking at AMC, uh, yeah, I heard something about it. I'm not an expert on AMC. When I made my video about AMC, Alvino, I was purely speaking about the fundamentals. I was saying AMC fundamentally as a company is in deep shit and not a good investment. I said nothing, absolutely nothing about the short squeeze potential, which may or may not be huge. I'm not familiar with this theory, and I have no opinion about it. But AMC and GameStop and stocks like that are highly shorted definitely have massive short squeeze potential, and but nothing beyond that. Um, I hope this answer satisfies you. I'm trying to find Rodney. I found your super chat. I don't know if you're still here. Let me know below if you're still here. Rodney, thank you for the $20. Enjoy coffee or tea. I'm actually drinking tea, so thank you for that. I'm gonna take a sip now. Let me mute it so it doesn't go through the. That was a good cup of tea. Okay, Rodney, thank you for the $20 donation. I appreciate it. Okay. Okay. Rich has an advice for don't get married by the dip. Hey, Manuel, what's up, buddy? I haven't seen you in a while. Everybody panic. Some really funny. Okay, some German friends here in the chat reacting to what I said a minute ago. Harvey saying that's correct, Tom. Only Schroeder works for Gazprom. No, no, no. He works for Gazprom, but he also has a role in Nord Stream. I'm sure of this. He has some official capacity role in Nord Stream. Check this for me. Probably something in German there, Harvey. I'm sure beyond Gazprom, he has some connection to Nord Stream. He gets paid. I've seen it. So it's Gazprom and Nord Stream. But maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I'm wrong. But this is what I remember. But he's a fucking crap piece of shit. Um, does Tom Nash own any guns? The answer is yes, but I'm not going to elaborate here since it's a live stream. Um, uh, Seth is saying if Putin cuts coal, Europe can use coal and nuclear. It's not that simple. It's a complicated debate, Seth. I wish it was that simple and we could say fuck Putin. Yeah, it's a complicated issue. Raziel, thank you for swinging by despite not getting the notification. I appreciate it. Um, yeah, it's okay, bro. It's fine. As long as you're here, that's fine. Um, okay. So Mark is angry. Mark is saying EU isn't fucked. Most almost all EU countries are at or above 80% capacity. Please do research and stop regurgitating stuff that was true months ago. So, Mark, I would love for you to provide some actual data contradicting what I said, and I'd be happy to show it on the screen to show how wrong I was. Please provide some data to what you're saying, and let's share it with the group. I'm completely open to it. No hard feelings whatsoever. Okay. Thank you for commenting, by the way. T-Rex has a question. Hi, Tom. Is it as it seems a green day is still everything? Uh, 8% green days stay green. I don't look T-Rex. I think friendly advice. Again, if you're a day trader, I can't. It's not for you. But I tend to ignore a day view. Green day, red day, green day, red day. It's a recipe for disaster. If you're gonna look at specific days, you kind of becoming like this little ant. I'll explain. So imagine you're an ant, okay, and right now you're an ant that's crawling on this massive football stadium, ground level, and you're crawling, and every piece of grass looks like it's fucking 17 feet tall, right? And you can't see jack shit. You don't know where the stadium begins or ends, nothing. Now imagine you're an ant, same ant, but you're up on the bleachers. You can see the entire stadium. You can see exactly where everything is. Your perspective is much better. When you day trade, you're the little ant in the fucking grass. When you go long term investing, you're in the bleachers. So that's why I don't look at specific days. So that's my answer about it. Um, hey, Gil, thank you for that. I appreciate the watch time, buddy. Thank you so much. Um, uh, any thoughts on SoFi now that there's a plan for student loan relief? I like SoFi. I like their management. I think one of my favorite companies. I know some people tend to hate on SoFi. I like the solution. I like what they're trying to build. I like Anthony Noto. Um, who bought Matt Core's fanny pack? Does he have a fanny pack? I want to get one. I didn't know he sells one. Why so many abandoning Palantir lately? I'm only familiar with Sasha selling over Palantir. To be honest, I think it's because the share price is dropping. The call was disappointing. It's people can change their minds. It's okay. Um, I'm just trying to sitting on the fence with Nikola. Sitting on the fence with Nikola. I ain't sitting on no fucking fence, bro. I want to take the fence and throw it at the fucking company, bro. Oh man. Woo. That was a good one. Um Imagine Nikola come back. Is this a pawn? Come. Okay, I don't know if it was intentional or not. Oh man. You say don't short, but would you have short? No, I don't short, and I knew Nikola was trash at 60. I still didn't short it because the risk. Look, when you're short, let me explain what happens when you're short. And this is something I need you all to listen and understand, even though it's going to absolutely annihilate this live stream because people will be bored. But listen to me, this is important. When you go long, you own the shares. You decide when to buy, you decide when to sell. The maximum that can happen, you can lose your entire investment. Now, you can also decide to stay in and ride it out. Let's say it drops 40%, 50%. You just ride it out like we do with Palantir, right? When you short, you do not own the stock. You borrow the stock from your broker. You pay your broker interest for borrowing the stock. You sell the stock so you no longer have it. And once the price increases too much and your broker starts to fear that you might have a problem, your broker can margin call you. That's even not the worst of it. Because beyond the margin call, you might actually have to go outside in the free market and repurchase some shares. And let's say Nikola comes out with a new GM deal. You remember when they came out with a new deal with GM? For months, the stock spiked. If the stock spikes, you're getting a call from a broker saying, hey, we're margin calling you. Boom. You just lost an obscene amount of money on the short. Short is a dangerous game that no retail investor should ever, ever, ever play. I hope that's clear. Uh, okay. Papa Tom. Miyoko, are you seriously doing this Papa Tom thing? Ah, uh, LC, I love you too. Have a great weekend as well. I'm just looking if there's any super chat that I've missed, because if I have, I want to give people their credit and shout outs. If I've missed your super chat, I apologize in advance. I tried to go through every single one of them. Yes, Richard, I found you. Richard is saying, are you still a fan of SoFi? I'm a long term holder, but wanted your thoughts during a heavy recession. So, Richard, as I said before, love the company, like the idea of a one stop financial shop, love the charter, love Anthony Noto as the CEO. I think they're having a rough time right now because they're in fintech and the entire industry is taking a hit. And my understanding about SoFi is that it has massive potential. A lot of people hate on it, but that's okay. I don't mind. I like SoFi. Um, okay. More super chats. Yeah. Fernando Ramos. I love that name. You have the name of a football superstar. I imagine you scoring goals. Hey Tom, heavily invested in FSR, 6.2K shares at $9.15 price. Any thoughts if any of the company and if Fisker can pull it off? I don't know. It's not one of the companies, Fernando. Honestly, I'm engaged in. I'm not familiar with it. It's not on my radar. I heard about a lot. I know it's out there, but unfortunately, I have nothing to tell you that's intelligent about this company. But I'll tell you what. I'll take a look, and I'll try to post on my second channel maybe a video about Fisker. How does that sound okay? I'll try to do that. Uh, um, mm, Are you and Ken close buddies? I like Ken a lot. We're good friends. He actually did an interview with me, which I think I'm the only guy he did an interview with when he came back to YouTube. I don't think he spoke to anybody else. I love Ken. He's a good friend, and I absolutely, have nothing but the best things to say about him. Chicken genius for the win. Uh, okay. More super chats just before we sign off. Um, I want to make sure I didn't miss any super chats. Shout out, by the way, to the 1,300 people who stayed with us through the entire stream. So, no more super chats. So, from this point on, do not super chat anymore because I will not be able to read your super chat. So, do not super chat from this point on, please. So, I don't want to miss anybody. Of course, chicken for the win. Thank you, everybody, for joining me today. This has been a blast. Thank you for Gabe for your generous donations and the interesting insights. Thank you for Rich and Greg for moderating the stream and all of the other moderators for moderating the stream. Thank you, the members. Lulu is here. Stonk Tycoon is here. Tom was here earlier. Seth is here, one of my community members. Thank you for all the people here in the chat that are basically here supporting the channel, what we do. And of course, somebody sends a super chat the moment I say do not send a super chat. Oh man, the day I do, I yo with the way YouTube ad revenue is looking right now, I might start an OnlyFans soon. There's no, who knows. Um, Thank you, Adrian, one of my community members here. Thank you, channel member. Thank you, Adrian. Appreciate it. Uh, Thank you, Amit, who's here despite being legit and not in the full health. Thank you, Greg. Thank you, of course, Kelly. Our, by the way, again, before you guys go, oh dear, download the app and go and listen to Amit and Kelly. That's how it's called, Amit and Kelly. And it's fucking. I wish this podcast was longer. You guys, can you make it an hour, Kelly? In the mid, it's always like 20 minutes, and like make it an hour. I enjoy this a lot. Um, I love your beard. Thank you, Hard Sessions. I appreciate that. Uh, Thank you, Ahad. Thank you, Cameron. Thank you, Tom, another channel member here. Thank you, Rich, for all the hard work moderating the chat. Uh, of course, Gabe donates more money We shouldn't. We live you, Tom. Thank you, Gabe. I appreciate that. I appreciate it. Thank you. Thank you, everybody. I'm just making sure there's no anybody I forgot. Uh, yeah, everybody's here. Thank you, Blake. Thank you, Bendy. Thank you, Fuddbucker, of course. Every time I say this name, it makes me laugh. Uh, uh, Thank you, Kunal. Thank you, Talwin. All the friends in the chat. Thank you so much. It's been a blast and an absolute pleasure. You guys are all scholars and gentlemen and gentlewomen. Thank you all. See you next Sunday. If this gets enough likes, if we get enough likes, I'll do it Sunday. I'm just kidding. I'll do it Sunday anyways. You don't have to press the like button later.